of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone at the dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's effort. It's the entire dealership, sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. How does that compare to other Honda dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Another week, another edition of Outside the Box being brought to you by Raising Cane's here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Joel Norman, and we're joined by the head coach of the Lincoln Stars, Rocky Russo. Rocky, how are we doing here tonight? You lost your shoe right before we got started, but you're getting that set. But otherwise, how are you doing today?
I'm good. There's something in my shoe. My shoe fell off. My chair's a little bit too high. My microphone's a little too low. I'm good, Joel. I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing well. We're adapting on the fly, kind of like you have to do over the course of a hockey game. You might not get off the footing you want, but you figure it out along the way. And this weekend, you guys came away with 3 big victories, 3 games in 3 days. We stressed it all last week and came out flying colors. Looking back a couple days now after you've had a chance to breathe after a busy stretch, what were some of your takeaways from the 6-point weekend?
I mean, it started with obviously a big comeback on Friday with 2 shorthanded goals in the same penalty kill and big shootout victory, and then a huge win on Saturday night. 2 important games at home in the ice box, and then I talked to the guys a little bit. You get greedy, right? Once you go into that weekend and you're like, okay, 4 out of 6. Like if we're really lucky, 5 out of 6 is a really good weekend. Mm-hmm. Then you got 4 in the bank going into Sunday, and you're like, wow, yeah, we got to sweep this thing. And we were feeling good about the way we played on Saturday, and we knew that that Sunday wasn't going to be easy. But like you and I talked about in the post game, it's kind of a weird game, right? Yeah. There's a major penalty, there's stoppages for ice cleanup, and some interesting calls early on in the game, and it's just one of those games where you pick your head up at the end and you're like, man, we're really, really happy to come away with that with 2 points. But I'm not sure whether we played good or we played bad or somewhere in the middle. But there's games like that where you just don't question it, and you're just really happy about finding a way to come away with a big win.
And the one thing you and I kind of agreed about with Sunday's game is that good teams find ways to win games like that. It's a stale Sunday afternoon game in a sense, and you had, as you mentioned, the weird instances on the ice, but the really great teams find ways to win ones like that, and you guys did.
Yeah, of course. And like I said in the post game, like they score in the second shift of the game, and then we have the first goal waived, which should have counted. The puck was clearly still free, and then the second goal's waived that shouldn't have counted. We played it down with a glove and first touched it. So You're down 1-0 on the scoreboard, but you're up 2-1 technically with pucks that have gone into the net. And, for a team that's frustrated, maybe a week ago, maybe we don't come back from that. But I always believed in the character of the team, and sometimes battling through adversity makes you a stronger group. And I do believe that the games we lost in the 2 previous weekends put us in a situation where we learned a lot about ourselves. And then, you get into that situation and you don't panic. You realize there's a lot of hockey left. We took control the second half of the period there in the first, and shots were 8-2 at one point in the first period, and they finished 9-8 us. And so I really felt like we kind of put a stranglehold on that game going into the second. And then obviously we got a couple big goals there in the second period. But again, it could have been so much worse. Like we had so many chances. We had the 5-minute major, and you're still staring down a 1-goal lead. And you're like, man, one shot, one turnover, one mistake, and it's a tie game. And on the road, I guess you probably feel a little bit more comfortable in that situation because you don't feel the stress of playing at home. And you're kind of playing with the house's money because you got 4 in the bank to start the day. But you still want to win that game. And it's a game in hand against the 2 teams that were chasing. And we knew how valuable that was. So there's just kind of a lot riding on it, even though we're only here in early February.
Yeah, there's a lot to recap from this weekend. If you missed the 3 games, the Stars started it off last Friday against Sioux Falls. They had 4 different deficits that they were able to overcome over the course of that game and won ultimately 6-5 in the shootout. Saturday hosted Sioux City after a home victory on Friday, defeated them by a 5-3 score, and then wrapped it up on the road on Sunday at Sioux City, a 3-2 victory against the Musketeers. And as you mentioned, Rocky, Sioux City was chasing you guys in the standings. Heading into Saturday's game, they were 2 points back of that third place spot that you guys are in the West. You guys now have a 6-point cushion on them. It's, again, there's a lot of time left in the season, but I thought it was huge to get a little bit of separation right there.
Oh, I think it was a huge turning point for us. And yes, there's a lot of hockey left, and you can, we're sitting, I think 7 or 8 back of Fargo, and we feel the same thing, right? We can make that ground up, especially with 4 games head to head against them. Granted, they're all in their building, but we feel confident about that. But putting some breathing room in between us and them was important. We've kind of done our job against Tri-City, right? I think we're 6-3-1 or something against them this year. And I know we play them 4 more times, but not till, March and then the last weekend of the year. And they're a much different team now with the changes they've made to their roster. But, you take control of the things you can. And that was 2 wins against Sioux City this weekend. The next task is 2 wins against Sioux Falls this weekend. We know that's not going to be easy. They gave us a heck of a fight on Friday in our building. They come back here this Friday. We go there on Saturday. And so those are two really big games because, they still feel like they're very much in it for a playoff berth. And we want to continue to creep our way up and looking at home ice advantage if we can.
That's a team you're seeing a ton this month. You mentioned last Friday we saw them twice this weekend, 2 weekends from now, 2 more times. So 5 times in a 4-week span. The season ends today. That's the first round opponent. So
yes,
you guys are getting an early look at that in a sense and trying to even move away from them and keep them from maybe even holding on to that spot.
Well, I think, that it's all interconference play, right? So it's going to shake out the way it shakes out. And if you're Tri-City, if you're Sioux Falls, if you're Sioux City, if you're us, right, you're just trying to control the things that you can control, win the games that you need to win. And, when you get the head-to-heads against the teams that are heady, you got to try to find a way to turn that into a 4-point swing, right? And for us, that was an 8-point swing against Sioux City this weekend. Got another one of those 8-point opportunities from a standing standpoint coming up this weekend against the Stampede.
And also coming up here, beginning Friday, when we keep saying this a lot, a busy stretch coming up. This is the busiest stretch of the season. 6 games in 10 days. Rocky, it feels like we're playing an NHL schedule beginning this Friday in a lot of ways.
We don't travel quite the way the NHL teams do.
That's also true.
So it's going to be a challenge. There's no question about it. The trip on Saturday's tough. I know it's only 4.5 hours, but you just spend all day traveling to play a game. It's frustrating to me. It'd be one thing if we were going there for 2,
Sure.
And you check into the hotel after the game and you can rest and recover, but you turn right back around. Now, I don't know what's worse, playing on Friday there and being able to play at home on Saturday or vice versa. But, we have the latter of that, those two options by traveling on Saturday. And then, the Tuesday game, again, I know we have some parameters within the schedule that we have to play X amount of non-Friday, Saturday games. And so that Tuesday game satisfied one of those. Hopefully we get a good crowd. It's Valentine's Day, which is a challenge. I know we have some hardcore fans that are going to be in attendance, but and then Thursday we're on the bus and we're 7+ hours to Fargo. We play in Fargo Friday and Saturday. We play in Sioux City on Sunday. It's tough. It's a Sioux City, Sioux Falls. I don't even know where we play on Sunday. Is it Sioux City or Sioux Falls?
We'll do Sioux City on the way back from Sioux and Fargo.
So. Yeah. So, you're looking at a lot of hockey in a short period of time. And so our recovery and the practice time is all going to be very regimented this week and next week to allow for the guys to get the rest that they need and the recovery time that they need so we can be the best we can when the puck drops.
Yeah, a busy stretch, as we mentioned, 6 games in 10 days coming up. One of those games you mentioned already, Ronky, coming up on Tuesday. It's Valentine's Day. The Stars are in action that night against Des Moines. You can get 2 tickets, 1 bear, and a $10 food and beverage token for $43 by purchasing one of our date night packages. And also tickets for that game are buy one, get one free coming up a week from tonight. So we won't have Outside the Box, of course, next Tuesday. We'll be a little busy on the ice with that in evening's game, but great ways to enjoy the action there that evening. Now, Rocky, in a normal week show, we would probably spend the whole time talking about just how much is going on the ice right now. But in addition to that, there's been a lot of news.
What else is going on?
Oh, in the last week or so with all these trades.
Oh.
That's what I'm referring to.
I didn't know that was anybody's excitement or anything that got anybody fired
No
up.
one's been too excited.
Fans don't
right?
care about trades,
no,
right?
I haven't seen any reaction since today's news or last week, so we could ignore it, but we won't. So.
Why would we? Of course, I'm just teasing.
I know. I wanted to talk about today's trade first. German Yavash joining the team from Fargo, an in-conference trade that you guys made this time. This was interesting because the other ones have been made with the Eastern Conference this season. You swap Marian Moscow for Yavash, a forward. Talk to me about what fans can expect out of him once he joins the Stars.
You know what? First of all, I want to thank Marian for his time here. He's a great kid, and he was a valuable asset for our club while he was here. But when we made the trade last week to bring Duns in, we wanted experience, playoff experience, USHL experience, and Duns has like 180 games played in the league, and so and multiple trips to the Clark Cup playoffs. So that's something that you can't replicate with almost any player in this league, but certainly not a rookie defenseman. And so we made the conscious decision to go with him, and that kind of made Marian find himself in a tough situation, right? And the next play was where do we put Marian that's in that creates the right opportunity for him. And I'll give a ton of credit to Nick. He worked really hard to work the phones and talk to the other GMs in the league to find the right option for Marian. And we knew that Yavash was going to be available. And he's a player that I always really hated to play against. Last year, I remember when they first brought him in, and he's like this 6'3" torpedo that just hits everybody and can make plays and shoots it, and he's not afraid to fight. And he's what Nick and I felt like we were lacking a little bit on our roster. So, Nick spoke to the GM there in Fargo, and they were able to strike a deal for. It's a good hockey trade. It's a need-based trade for both sides. They needed a D. We were looking for a forward. They felt like German was probably somebody that they didn't want on their roster anymore, and so I think it worked out for everybody. He finds a great home here in Lincoln and continues the opportunity to pursue a Clark Cup. He's not going to go to school next year, which means he's going to come back and be a Lincoln Star next year, which is even better. And Marian finds himself a fresh start and a new opportunity to continue to develop before he matriculates on to Cornell. So, I think that that it's a win-win for both sides. Now we'll see what Fargo thinks when they have to play against Mr. Yavash in a couple weeks, but we could say the same. They're probably saying the same thing about Marion. So we're happy with bringing him in. I think he's a much needed addition to our club and brings a dynamic that we didn't have at one point.
Yeah, a straight up 1-for-1 trade today. If you missed it, Yavash for the Stars now in exchange for Marion Moscow going to Fargo. Yavash committed to play at Western Michigan, 9 points in the 33 games, but last year was actually, a little bit closer to being a point a game player, 23 points in 42 games. You feel like he can step in and make a difference immediately on the Stars? And who do you maybe foresee him playing with?
I'm not sure who he's going to play with yet. I've put some thought into it, and he's here in town. He landed a couple hours ago, so he'll be at practice tomorrow, and we'll kind of see where he fits. But I felt like obviously the Fargo club is coached by a different coach this year than last year, and they're having tremendous success this year. But I'm not sure that German was maybe being used in the same fashion this year as he was last year. And that happens, right? Coaches have their own style and their own way of doing things. And they're obviously having great success with Nick as their head coach. But, German was somebody that was just so incredibly hard to play against last year. And, I foresee him having that type of impact for our team this year. And I think he can play anywhere in your lineup. He can play in the top six. He could play in the bottom six. He can play on the power play. He's going to eat up 5-on-5 minutes. He's going to be physical. He's going to be menacing. I think he's going to be a fan favorite in the icebox.
Yeah, well, that's really great to hear. I'm sure a lot of fans love hearing that right now. We're chatting Lincoln Stars hockey here on Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket. Talking about some of the recent trades the Stars have made. First off, acquiring German Yavash from the Fargo Force today. Now, last week, Rocky, since the last time we were on the air, there was also another trade. Tyler Dunbar was acquired from the Muskegon Lumberjacks, and you touched on him a little bit, just that USHL experience. 179 games to be exact now.
I was close.
You were. You said 180, right? So you were one off. He'll get that Friday. But a guy just with a ton of experience. He's got the most games played in the USHL on this roster. You got a chance to utilize him in the lineup this weekend. What stood out about his play?
He's poised. He's smart. He retrieves pucks really well. He sees the ice really well. He's a very good defender, good stick. And because he's smart and responsible, he knows when to go, when to sit back. He's playing with Antonio, who obviously is very offensively talented as well. And I think that, they played really well with each other. It gave Tony some comfort to do some things knowing that his partner was back there. Not that Nelly wasn't. Nelly did a great job with him, but I feel like Nelly also had an excellent weekend playing with CR this weekend and kind of solidified those guys being comfortable together. And Bucks is just so versatile. Like he plays with Klebs, he plays with Hartsey, he plays with Jimmy. Doesn't matter. Like he's just a guy that can go out and do his job no matter who his partner is. And so, what we have now is AD that we can rely on and that experience and that reliability that a veteran D like Dunsey brings, just something that you just can't replicate without them having gone through that.
It felt like just from watching games this past weekend that was the missing piece for that blue line in a lot of ways.
You know what? It's funny because there's some other teams that made big splashes, right? I mean,
yeah.
And we were in on all those guys. We just, I do think we still probably had the best offer on the Matika kid. But there's some things in play that we don't necessarily have control of. And Matika ended up in Waterloo and the bump thing, anybody that tracks the social media can see what was given up for bump in regards to the 6 or 8 draft picks. Plus there's conditions in there for future considerations, which is affiliate list players to be named later. And I think a lot of Alex Bump, but Nick and Alberto and myself, like we talked, and it was just so much to give up for a guy that's got 9 goals. Now I know that he's far more capable of scoring than just the 9 goals that he has, but to give up 8 draft picks and future players on your affiliate list, you're mortgaging your future.
Yeah.
And we think we have a team that can win right now. and we love the guys that are in the room. We believe in the guys that are in the room. And so, Nick finally just said, "Hey, I think this is too much." And I applaud him for having the strength to turn down that deal and believing in the group that we built in August, because we do think we have a club that can win right now. And there is a second trade deadline in the USHL, and if something comes about in the next 3 weeks that just it's too good to pass up, then we'll have that conversation. But right now, we like our group and we believe in the group and the culture that we've built. And we have the X factor, because I think we have the best goalie in the USHL in Cameron Whitehead. And when you have a group built from the net out, you have a chance immediately. But the other pieces that we have, shoring up the D was really, really important. And then adding Yavash to the group up front adds that element of toughness. And so we feel like the moves that we made were excellent, and they helped to make us better without changing the look of what that team really is. And that was important for Nick and important for me, because, Alberto has told us he doesn't want to make a ton of changes, and he wants our guys to have the opportunity to develop and grow. And we've taken that to heart. And so when we do make changes, we're very careful about them and make sure they're the right ones. Now they're not always the right ones. But nobody's perfect. You're going to make mistakes. We brought in Carson Bidens. Carson was great, and he was important to our club, but German brought something different. And so Carson gets the opportunity to play top 6 minutes in power play in North Iowa, our sister club there in the North American Hockey League. And he's going to go to school at Princeton next year. And, I kind of feel like it was a win-win, because Carson needed more ice than he was getting here. And that certainly wasn't a personal decision that we made. It was in the sense that we felt like it was a better opportunity for his growth, and keeping him here and having him play limited minutes and being scratched every few games just isn't the mission statement that we have when it comes to the player development.
I think you're making a good point there, that you, Alberto Fernandez, Nick Fabrizio, all talking about that personal side, wanting to do what's best by the player as well.
And we do have a question from the text line. And again, you guys can join the conversation, 402-464-5685. That is the Starter Heyman text line. And this one is to you, Coach. He says several other Western Conference teams have traded for high point producing forwards recently. Do you think the Stars need more great scoring, or do you like where you are?
Well, your question probably came in just prior to me answering the previous question, but I like where we are. I like where we are, and yeah, Waterloo made a splash with Matika. Certainly, Tri-City has altered their roster in a pretty significant way by adding 2 goalies, and the Richard kid, and then obviously Alex Bump. Arguably the top player on the top scorer in Muskegon, the top scorer in Omaha. Mm-hmm. They felt like they needed that. And, there's 2 ways those things can go. And I've done this for 18 years, and I've made those blockbuster deals, and sometimes they work and sometimes they backfire, because a player that was having a lot of success in one place doesn't necessarily have a lot of success in another place. There's only one puck. And I don't know if there's enough pucks to go around when you've got 12 top 6 forwards on your team, which is probably what Tri-City has right now. I mean, their forward group on paper is absolutely loaded. But who's not going to play on the power play? Who's going to sacrifice and kill penalties and block pucks? Who's going to be happy to see their point totals start to dwindle? That's a challenge to manage that. And I guess having an embarrassment of riches is a good thing. But it brings a new set of problems. And so Fargo added the Mellenbacher kid, and he's a talented player in his own right. They gave up a really high end 05 in Ty Hendricks. For anybody here, keep the name Hendricks in mind, because we have Ty's younger brother, who's an 06 on our affiliate list, and he'll be a tremendous Lincoln Star here in the near future. But some specifically Fargo, they paid a deep price with Hendricks to get Mellenbacher, but they feel like they can win. And when you feel like you can win, sometimes you have to go all in. And Waterloo's gone all in. They brought in Matika. They brought in Benoit. Tyler Procius was their captain. He's been hurt for a couple months. He hasn't played. I think they're dropping him.
They did.
Like, how do you drop your captain? I know he's been hurt, but how do you drop your captain? And I'm not in that locker room. That's just literally the bird's eye view from the outside perspective.
Looks strange on paper.
It does. But you never know what's going on internally, right? But I know Tyler Procius is a heck of a hockey player. So, you know, you don't know. You don't know whether it's going to work. And then it's easy to have the hindsight of what happens 3-4 months from now, right? Oh, well, we should have made that move. We didn't make that move. Well, you make the best decision you can in the time frame in which you have the opportunity to assess it. And you know, 8 picks for bump was tough. It was tough. And Tri-City's been at this with Jay and Jason Kohler and Anthony for 6 or 7 years, and they're very good at what they do. So they acquire a lot of assets. They were able to make some trades that didn't involve their own draft picks. Specifically for the Richards kid in Muskegon, almost all the picks they gave for him were other assets they'd acquired from other teams. You know, we came in the opposite situation. A lot of our assets had been given away in the last few years.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've been fairly cautious about how we're managing our draft picks because we want to get to a point where we have some overflow and we can make some trades and you know, not be reckless, but know that if you're going to make a trade that involves 5, 6, 7, 8 draft picks, if 4 of them aren't yours, it doesn't hurt you as much. Now Tri-City gave up quite a few of their own picks in the bump trade, but they obviously feel like he's something that they're missing. I'm not sure if they're right or not because their team looked pretty darn good on paper before they got Alex Bump, but you know, it never hurts to bring in an NHL draft pick, and they did that with the addition of Bumper there. So we'll see. It's everybody's got to mesh, everybody's got to play together, and everybody's got to be willing to sacrifice because it's only 10 guys that can play on the power play.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, 10 games already down against Tri-City. Don't see them again until the end of March, but it's going to be a very different looking team when the Stars take on them again. So looking forward to that when we get to that point. Looking forward to what's coming up after the break. We're going to have Mason Marcellus and Antonio Fernandez joining us. Boy, they had some good weekends for the Stars in those 3 wins in 3 days. Stay tuned with us. This is Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you're eligible to receive? Do you want help navigating the application or appeals process? Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. You've served our country, now let us serve you. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you wanna come and text us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
this is Mommy's jam,
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Ticket Water Cooler.
8 Big Ten running backs in their top 25 returning in 24/7 Sports. You can certainly argue that Anthony Grant could be in there. Nobody would.
That's just because the Iowa back ended the season on a higher note. I don't care about the end of the season. Look at the entire season. Anthony Grant had a great season.
The good news for Nebraska is if Anthony Grant does fall off, A.J. Allen looks like he's going to be there. Then you have Ramir Johnson, who led the team in rushing 2 years ago.
Gabe Urban, who was your starter 2 years ago.
So, I mean, they've got a great room.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Dodgers. And even after he had 22 years to win an Oscar, you can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit stoptextstop.org. The message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, niña, me dijo, me dejé pintar el marco de lado por dentro y pinté el lado de fuera.
Yo le di a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se diferente podría ser Alzheimer, es momento de hablarlo. Visita alc.org y llama a nuestras historias para hacer más. Un mensaje de Alzheimer's Association. Council.
The Ticket Water Cooler.
Your top 25 returning in sports. You can certainly argue that Anthony Grant could be in there.
That's just because the Iowa running back ended on a higher note. The end of the season. Look at the entire season. Anthony Grant had a great season.
The good news for Nebraska is if Anthony Grant does fall off, A.J. Allen looks like he's going to be there. Then you have Ramir and with the team in rushing 2 years ago.
Gabe Urban, who was your starter 2 years ago.
They've got great room.
It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Outside the Box being brought to you by Rolls On, draw 93.7 The Ticket. We're joined by a couple of Lincoln Stars heroes from this past weekend. Both guys who wear letters on this team as well. Mason Marcellus, the captain, alternate captain, Antonio Fernandez. And guys, what a great weekend for the Stars. 3 games, 3 wins. The results, maybe you would have loved them to be a little more convincing. In some ways, you guys probably would have loved a game like that. But at the end of the day, you can't be upset about 6 points in 6 days. What was your reaction to the weekend? How good that day start for you, Mason?
Definitely big because we were coming off a 4-game stretch where we didn't really play our games. So the 3 games was huge for us confidence-wise and just like getting our room back together and just having to play. So I don't know. The boys are really, really excited.
Tony, what did that mean for you guys? You got it all start with a shootout win on Friday.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter how we win. 6 points is 6 points. And, it's what our group needed. And especially after losing 4 straight, it really showed the character and resiliency we have in our room.
Starting off with that game Friday, guys, a 6-5 win over Sioux Falls in the shootout. 4 different deficits in the game. Didn't matter. 7 on the weekend. Didn't matter. You guys won regardless. What was the message that you guys had with each other from the coaching staff? What are you talking about over the course of that game Friday? Because there were a couple of moments where it could have gone the wrong direction, but it obviously didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Our group really, really believes in each other and in our process. So, I mean, Sioux Falls scored for 3-4 minutes left, and the bench kind of dropped there. But it just takes one guy to get up and be like, boys, we still have 3 minutes here to go score, and then the whole team just kind of rallies behind that. So I mean, we're down bad. We believe in that.
Tony, was there one guy? Is there something someone said? Was it one of you guys? Maybe you felt like someone said something that just really stood out, and you got, okay, we can do this.
Really, I think it was just all coming together, and just we say it all the time, but really trusting our identity and our culture that we've established throughout the year, and we really had to stick with that on Friday, especially, and it worked out at that.
Yeah, it sure did in that game. That was exciting. The 2 shorthanded goals in a minute.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How insane was that? What a penalty kill. I mean, that was right after Sioux Falls had taken a 2-goal lead. And I think a lot of people are kind of thinking, oh boy, here we go. They're up 2 right now. It's the chance for them to kind of get a stranglehold on the game. And I remember thinking, not just when you guys tied it up, but when you guys ended up winning the game, I was like, boy, that is a game that the teams who win hardware win. You win games like that. Was that the most exciting game of the weekend because of that comeback, you think?
I think so. And there's so many guys contributing in that game. And I mean, it got us back on the map. Just like that one win after the 4-game slump, it just like kind of got us back. So it was huge.
Yeah, for sure. I was really proud of our PK.
Yeah.
It was unreal. Like,
I
I did not think we were going to score 2 goals. Larry and Sambuco came up clutch. Like, that's just what our players do and shows like how good we are.
I said to Larry after the game, Larry, I didn't know you had a slap in that.
I don't think any of us did.
Holy cow, he pulled up. I was fully expecting, okay, maybe we'll get a wrist shot, maybe we can get a rebound. And he just pulls up, and next thing you know, it's in the back of the net.
I thought he was going to like pull a fake clapper or something, like push around with his speed, but no, he just ripped it.
It was awesome.
That was
crazy.
awesome.
I want to see that again in the game after that.
That's funny. He's definitely going to try it again now.
You kind of have to. After you've done it once, you have to follow that up. And then Daniel Sambuco, that was exciting because that was just him and Raftery just going to work and just doing what they do best.
Exactly.
Attacking the net. That was so fun to watch. And I thought it was so fitting those guys scored. We've been talking for weeks about, so you guys doing a lot of the work, scoring, getting lots of points. We needed some depth scoring to get off that losing skid, and we got it that night. It felt like, and you said it already, Mason, everyone on the team on Friday night played a part in that win.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was huge over the course of it. Now, Saturday, turning the page to Sioux City, that was a strange game. It had a strange feel to it. It wasn't so much that, resilient victory, but there were a couple holes you guys had to climb out of in that game. But it really came down to a little over 5 minutes in that second period, 3 goals in that one. Tony, you got the scoring started in that game in the first period.
Yeah.
Cross ice, one-time power play
for us.
Yeah, no, we don't really go to that formation a whole lot in the power play, but sometimes things happen and we just got to adjust, and that's exactly what we did. And Mason made a good pass to Boston, and Boston found the seam and got the scoring started.
And Mason, you said it was a little different look for you guys with the power play. Was that something you guys have been working on leading up to the weekend?
No, I have never ran up top like that before. I did 2 years ago in my AJ career. I ran the top of the power play for a little bit, but no, I just kind of found myself there. Tony made a good little fake pick up the puck, and it drew the defender with him, which gave me a lot of time. And then he's just smart enough to stay over there on the one-timer side. And I didn't know he had a one-timer. I didn't think he could hit it, but find something new every day, I guess.
It was a great shot too.
It was.
It was our first 1T power play goal.
So it was.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about that now. That's a good point. We haven't had a lot of one-timer power play goals.
We had it, which was strange because last year we had Dalton Norris, who had the most 1T goals in the league. It was unreal, but
he was crazy. He could hit anything though. He's special.
Opening up a new element, I guess, to this season on the power play with that. And Tony, you had a great play earlier in that power play where you kept the puck alive at the blue line. You've had that a couple of times this season where you've been able to keep pucks that look like they're getting out. Is that just kind of an instinctive thing? You're just rushing over, you're doing whatever you can to keep the puck in?
Yeah, I feel like when it's bouncing like that, I mean, I don't want to play with my sticks and my go over, so I just kind of put my whole body down there, my skate, and kind of hope for the best, and it worked out for us.
Yeah, and I mean, from my position, I can kind of just throw a puck up to the point with him and Boston. They both keep everything in, so I could throw a wobbly one up the point, and I know they're gonna get it, settle it down, and move it quick. So it's that much easier.
Yeah, makes your job a little bit easier. Someone on the half wall side and in the circles as well. Now shifting over toward Sunday's game, it's a funky situation where it's a Sunday afternoon game, 3:00. You're already tired from 2 impressive wins, but it also exhausting for the type of efforts you guys had to give. And Sunday started it out a little tough. You gave the goal in the opening second shift of the game, opening minute, but you guys responded. Second period, or first intermission going into the second period, what was the message in the locker room? What flipped the switch? Because you guys ended the first period playing really well.
Yeah, it was kind of like the media timeout where we just kind of had that message that, we're tired. Yeah, we're feeling a little fatigued, but they've gone through the same thing we have. So it's just us wanting to work harder than them. And I mean, we have a bunch of dogs on our team, so they just love to work. So I think we just outworked them for the rest of the game.
Yeah, for sure. Mason kind of hit the spot, but there was no excuses for us to give that game. They played the same amount of time we did, and it was just all of us contributing, doing what we do best, and that's work hard and play our game.
You had the first goal of the game that night again. The second night in a row.
Well, actually, there were like 2 other goals that just didn't count.
That's right.
So that was
that was training. Like our bench was a little down after that, and then Rocky kind of got us back up with his speech in the media timeout, which was really, really big. It was a game changer.
What did he say? Take fans onto the bench there.
No, I mean, pretty much just like what I said. Like, who cares what happened? Like, I mean, they've gone through what we've gone through. Who cares if those 2 goals didn't count? We know we're going to score more. So, I mean, and it was just us believing in them.
And Tony, the goal you had, it was kind of one of those ones. You do this thing where when you kind of like drift in, you almost look like you're like leaning into a shot. It's like you almost like picking your spot. Was that exactly the shot you wanted in that scenario?
Yeah, he was screened a little bit, so I thought like shoot low under the glove, and that's the best way to beat him. And my winger didn't come at me, so I kind of took advantage of that and went a little lower than I usually would, and it paid off at the end.
And you guys were able to cash into the goaltender. Axel Mango didn't have a stick. I was caught in the back of the net. I didn't even see how it got stuck there. Did you see how did it get stuck back there?
There was like Dougie was scrambled behind the net or something, and I don't know, but the bench was yelling at me whenever his stick was gone, like shoot 5-hole. But I was like, "What are you guys talking about?"
So you didn't even know?
No, I didn't because Dougie. I mean, I got Dougie's like 6'3" frame in front of him. I can't see anything anyways, so I'm just shooting around him.
It worked out though.
Yeah, you didn't see anything.
We're chatting with Mason Marcellus and Antonio Fernandez about the Stars' 3 wins this weekend. Talking about Sunday specifically. Mason, first 2-goal game of the season for you. Really nice for you to get that. You had the power play goal, which was kind of like if you're going to score on the power play, that's going to be the kind of shot you want. That left circle one. Take you through that.
I mean, yeah, it was just a good play. We've talked about, Tony kind of starts with the puck and then he goes down to Tanner there and then drives, and it kind of messes with their power play because everyone's so scared of Tony's shot coming in, so they have guys like drift to him, and then I mean it's pretty easy play like Tanner to Boston, then Boston to me, and I just got to hit the net whenever Dougie's standing in front of it because the goalie's not going to see around him. He's way too big.
Just don't want to hit him.
Exactly.
That's the thing, right?
That's the thing. I don't want to go to the bench apologizing to him after I smoke him. So.
You ever had that in practice where you hit him?
Oh, my God. 5-on-0s and I'm hitting them and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 8:15 in the morning and I'm smoking them in the shin pads and the chest. I feel so bad. Yeah. So now I just keep it low.
Well, he knows it. He's going to the. He knows he's probably going to get
he's so good about it.
He's so good. Tough part of it. And then you got your second goal in the third period. That made it a 2-goal lead briefly. That was a nice one. You got a little bit of open space, just kind of slipped into the slot and good wrist shot as well.
Yeah, that's like the coach have been trying to get me to shoot a lot more. Like I think I could use my shot a lot more. I kind of force passes, so that one's kind of nice, just for like my confidence to go in and just trust my shot there. So it worked out well.
Second in the USHL assist, though. So we have to mention that. You say, I want to shoot more. It's easy for the guy in that category to say, you know what, I should be doing this too, being a perfectionist as well. Tony, you had the shootout winner on Friday. We touched on that. 2 for 2 in the shootout this season. Not too bad. How different was your approach going first compared to third this time? Or fourth, I believe, last time.
Fourth.
I didn't really think of it like that. I just kind of went in and did the same move. It was a different goalie, so I figured it'd work. There's no way he's doing film of our shootouts, so I was like, do it again, and it worked out. So, poorly, I got the turn on top of it wouldn't have happened with a great team effort from everything before that. So it was good.
It was the exact same move last time. The exact same one.
Post in too, both times.
Yeah. Worked pretty well in practice too, or is it just
in practice? I kind of just
you never do that in practice. Like I've never seen that move, and then he busted out in the shootout one time. I was like, oh, that's new.
Yeah, I kind of just messed around in practice, and I mean, I'm like, if I'm gonna do a move, I got to kind of take it more serious during the game. So
yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah,
and then of course after that, Boston Buckberger nearly scored. Boy, if he just
so bad, and he does that in practice a lot.
That's his go-to.
It's a really good move, and he hadn't beaten. Too bad.
Yeah,
rolled on him, but
I've been watching the shootouts on these Thursdays because you guys end practice with that, and he's been making them nonstop doing that.
He's been sick lately. I don't.
Yeah. So he went in and goes on the back, and I thought, boy, he's going to get this here, but just didn't quite happen. We'll take a quick break, and we're going to continue our show in a moment after these messages. Antonio Fernandez and Mason Marcellus joining me. I'm Joel Norman. This is Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I'm an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I influencer.
You know, that's me. What is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Really?
Bucks.
Learn more at bear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, the State Forester, and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. Talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like you wherever you are. But I feel like this isn't not driving. And I think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road. But I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopRex.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know those place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a day and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will quickly connect to them and ensure they make it back home or whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, we all do a little. We change a lot.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's page tonight and send me over.
Hey, remind me about that party again? And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations. They want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path.
Sponsored by DHHS and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
A wise nation honors and learns from its past. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. February, Black History Month, a celebration of the contributions that African Americans have made to American history in their struggles for freedom and equality. Knowledge is our strongest tool against injustice. Sponsored by the Nebraska Education Association, aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was troubling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together apart. It is the power of love.
Join the fight for LGBTQ success. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
I'm Brian. At 58, doctors told me I had the heart of a 37-year-old man. They told me that after my heart transplant surgery. If you're a smoker, here are some tips in case that happens to you. First, you have to quit smoking before you can get on a list for a transplant. Quit now. And never feel sorry for yourself. I don't. I only feel sorry for that 37-year-old man.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside every Saturday morning right here on the Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Another great edition of Outside the Box being done by Raising Canes here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Joel Norman. We're chatting Lincoln Stars hockey. We've had no shortage of topics here tonight. Lots going on with the Stars. And we're joined again by Antonio Fernandez and Reason Marcellus. And guys, we were just talking a moment ago, and it was a big topic when I was talking with Rocky, the trades. It's that time of the year. And I wanted to ask you guys, as veterans in this league, what's it like when you add someone to the mix? You guys were a part of this last year. You add players to the team. It's different because you have that culture established. And this team in general, compared to most teams in the USHL, has not had a lot of turnover this year. A lot of the guys who were here in the first games in Pittsburgh are still here. The large majority of this lineup is still in place, which is really nice in that sense for the bond in the locker room. And it's been something that's been really stressed by Rocky as well as the front office, the management, I should say, for the team in general. What's it like when you add a guy, and you guys have done that with Tyler Dunbar, probably helps getting as many games as possible with him. He played 3 this past weekend.
Yeah, well, I think it's just making sure when they come in, they feel as comfortable as possible. Everyone greets them and makes them feel really welcome. And with Dunbar, that's exactly what we've done. And I feel like he's experienced, like he's a veteran of all veterans, like he gets it. And so it's been really easy with him. And yeah, that's what we plan on doing with anyone else who joins us.
Now, Mason, on the bus rides, you're always telling people, hey, you got to double up. Hey, you can sit here. You can move back here. Yeah, I imagine Dunbar didn't have to double up. He's got 180 USHL games.
No, he was sitting way too far up at the start. He was in like the middle of the bus, and then Dougie mentioned it to me. He's like, "Shouldn't Dunbar be back here?" And Tony, Dougie, and I stood up, and we're like,
"Dunbar should be behind all of us."
He said in my seat, like, he's probably got like 100 more games played than me. He's been in the league forever. But I mean, our team is so good about it. Like we just said, like, hey, like, boys, it's just kind of tradition. Like guys with a lot of games sit in the back. So do you mind moving up a seat? And everyone just gets up quick and moves up. So it's not too bad.
What's the back of the bus like right now? Take fans through that. Whitey's in the farthest back, isn't he right now? I thought so.
Yeah. So it's like because there's that single seat.
He like curls up in a little ball and just sleeps there.
I mean, when he's playing, like you don't get a word out of him. He is like dialed in. It's crazy.
I've told workers and people sometimes, I'm like, don't talk to him. On days he starts, you don't do that. And I've seen fans will do it sometimes. I'm like, don't talk to our starting goaltender today. That's just something you don't do.
I'm like really, really good friends with Whitey, and I see him like doing his warm up, and I'm like head down, buried, walking past him.
Yep. Don't know that guy, right?
Don't make eye contact with him. Don't want to get him off his game.
Yeah, I feel like everyone just has a different way of getting dialed, and Whitey's is just being like super quiet, listening to his music, juggling his tennis balls.
Yeah,
I think it works.
It clearly works.
So far, so good. Right. So far, so good. So he's in the far back. Who else is back there? You guys are, I imagine, some of those seats right near the back as well, right?
So it's because there's like the one seat by itself in the back because the washroom's back there. So Whitey has that seat, and then Dougie and I, and then Tony and CR, and then it's
not like real strict. Like
not too strict.
We don't even care. Really.
I mean, like we double up a lot of the time because like we got Henry Nelson, you just can't sit still. So he's in my seat 90% of the time. Tanner is always trying to get back there. There's always guys going around, so it's not strict at all. Like people are moving like every single time.
What's it been like having Dunbar on this team, Tony? You've been on the pairing with him pretty much since he got here.
No, you can definitely see his experience in his play for sure. He's so poised with the puck, and he's like such a smooth skater.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely a special player, and I'm happy I'm playing with him right now. So,
what does he do to help bring out the best in you right now? What are some strengths that he's had to help you?
I think he's a really good passer, and that helps me do some stuff I'd like to do. And I think the more we practice together and more we keep playing games, and I think we'll be even better. And he's just really poised with the puck, and he makes really smart plays.
What's he been like in the locker room, Mason? Is he kind of because he was a guy who was with Muskegon for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
You have established yourself there. He wore a letter there. Is he kind of coming in right now and kind of, feeling things out first? Because I imagine there is going to be a role for him to play with leadership on this team.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think right now he's still kind of feeling it out. It's still kind of early in the process. It is, a huge move for him. Like you said, 100%. He was in Muskegon for 3.5 years. So changing teams is really big. But I think like everyone can kind of see that he is like a natural leader, but he is figuring it out right now. Kind of like seeing where he fits and what he's got to do. So I think he's a huge asset to us right now.
Yeah, another trade today, of course, German Yavash coming into this team. Rocky said he's a guy that's tough to play against. You guys are the ones who would be able to attest to that. What was he like on the other side in a different jersey?
Yeah, I was always kind of scared getting that in the corners with that guy. Like really? He's tough, and that's kind of the Lincoln Stars brand we kind of identify with, and so I think he'll do a great job fitting in.
Yeah, he's a monster. Like going in the corner, like I know I'm not out muscling him. I'm just going straight for the puck and hoping he doesn't kill me. But I mean, hopefully I'll get better by working on it with him. I'll see. Little corner battles with him will help me.
He seems like a guy that Rocky would love to have on a team. Just the way he describes him, the way everyone has like, this is a Rocky Russo type hockey player. I mean, Tony, you could probably attest to that more than anyone else. 3 years playing under Rocky.
Yeah, for sure. He plays tough and he's shoot first, I believe. And most importantly, I feel like he's a great guy. And I picked him up from the airport today, actually, and drove him to his. He's staying with Cole, and he couldn't have been nicer. So happy to see how he fits in.
But it's another interesting process of it is who gets the guys at the airport. We've had a few times with affiliates, we've had different people go and get them. Yeah. Have you had to do that at any point, Mason? Grab anyone?
This year I haven't. Last year I had to get some affiliates from airports. I have a story. In the AJ, one time we made a trade, and I drove 10 hours with my coach from Drayton Valley, Alberta to Brooks to go pick up a guy because I played against someone. Yeah, they wouldn't fly him down, so me and my coach drove 10 hours in the AJ.
That's absurd.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's a long time. So it was just you and your coach over to get him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time in the car.
Very long time. And it was the year I only had 16 games that year because it was the COVID years. I mean, like we weren't really talking about the season much.
Yeah.
Kind of shooting it.
Wow. That's crazy. And there's been a lot of trades in this league in general right now. I imagine for you guys real quickly, I like seeing all these other transactions.
I think I mean we've made a few trades, and I mean some teams are kind of going all in for. But I think, like you said, we really trust the guys we have in the locker room right now, and we believe in our group. So I think it's really big for us as a culture, just keeping the same guys we have. I think it's really nice.
Same thing for you, Tony.
Yeah, basically, it's definitely interesting to see where guys end up. But we're comfortable where we're at, and if something needs to happen, I'm sure our office will do something. But right now, we're happy.
Well, thank you guys for joining us here. Let's go get 4 points again this weekend.
Love that.
Awesome. Sure. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Antonio Fernandez and Mason Marcellus joining us Stars at home Friday night against Sioux Falls at 7:05 p.m. Get your tickets at LincolnStars.com. I'm Joe Norman, and this has been another edition of Outside the Box, brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket.